My first suggestion, if you are thinking of starting YouTube, is don't. Hello, my name is Zephyr Gracholski, and I run the YouTube channels Electro Ninjas Lab, Zephyr Gracholski, and Intrepid Books.
What is content creation?
Content creation is honestly a really hard topic to say what exactly it is. But if I were to give a blanket statement as to what I believe it is, I believe that it is having fun while sharing it with the world. There are many aspects to it, but as long as you are enjoying yourself making videos, be they skits or just talking to someone about your favorite stuff, that is considered content creation. And that is an important aspect to deciding what you want to do as a content creator of any kind.
What are some of the difficulties for content creators starting out?
You're asking the right person. One of the biggest issues is just finding an audience. Oftentimes you're forced to jump from different major things just to see what will actually stick with your audience. I, for one, started out making Minecraft content and did not get very far with that. I also did a little bit of a few other things, like I think I tried to do some gameplay content, but honestly none of that really stuck, and I stopped having fun with it. And now I finally found my target, which is miraculous content and My Hero Academia content. But finding that specific niche is just the beginning. You also need to get your name out there. If people aren't talking about you, then you're not going to go anywhere. One of the biggest issues is the fact that unless you reach 1,000 subscribers, YouTube itself won't take you seriously. So everything that you do has to be done with a lot of help by getting your audience involved, to have them tell other people about you until you reach that glorious number of 1,000 subscribers. And even after that, you still need to keep working and still have people suggesting your content. It just becomes easier at that point, since YouTube now realizes that you're a real person.
What are some struggles that you face as a content creator?
One of the biggest is just the fact that I basically have to do everything by myself. I record my videos, I edit my videos, I do all of these different aspects of the video pretty much by myself, and while sometimes I do have some aid by hiring an artist or getting Quixote to make some music for me, mostly everything that I've done is by myself, and that can be a really tricky place to go forward with.
What do you think could be improved on YouTube to make it easier for smaller content creators to be discovered?
So, one of the things that I've kind of been thinking for a while is actually a system that does exist. Not on YouTube itself, but on video games, specifically Final Fantasy XIV, which, needless to say, is one of my favorite games that I've ever played. But one of the things that they specifically do in Final Fantasy is that they have this system called the Novice Network. I think that if that system were to be converted over to YouTube, it would actually help a lot. Basically, older creators are able to go in and explain things and help out the younger creators by choosing to collab with them. Basically, you can put yourself out there to basically say, hey, this is my content. And if that system were actually well worked and well integrated into YouTube, I think that would help a lot of creators in the long run. And it would also mean that larger creators who started out by being a small creator on this Novice Network, they would be able to work through it, and they would realize, hey, I want to do that same thing for other creators in the long run.
Do you have any advice for small content creators or those starting out?
My first suggestion, if you are thinking of starting YouTube, is don't. There are countless other options that will actually be much better for you. Unless you are willing to put in the effort and realize that you will be working at this. This is not just something that you can do for fun. You have to be willing to put in the effort for every single aspect of this that you plan to work on. But if you have already started, honestly, all I can tell you is to not give up. There are going to be people who are going to hate your content, but there's also going to be those people who will stand by you and will help you to improve your content over the years. And you need to listen to those who are actually putting in the effort to tell you that you are doing a good job, and not to listen to those who are telling you, oh, you're shit, oh, you're awful, you cannot improve. You need to not listen to these people, because they will just ruin you.
What recommended software or gear would you tell a person that's starting out with content creation?
The first thing to note when realizing that you're going into content creation is that you can start with very limited stuff. I mean, all I started with was a crappy mic and a laptop, I believe. At the time, I didn't show my face, but if you have a laptop, chances are you'll have a camera with it. And obviously, you'll also have a mic with it. Starting out with that is honestly the basics. As you improve, that's when you should start looking into getting better gear. If you are someone who is going to be doing gaming content, I do absolutely recommend that you get an Elgato capture card. It's fantastic, and I've used it to record content on basically every system that I own. And I could even use it to, if I really wanted to, I could probably use it to capture video footage from VHS if I really wanted to. So keep that in mind. And that is probably the first thing that you should get if you're planning to go into gaming content. But I would also recommend that you get a decent mic. I'm not really 100% certain which one I use most of the time, but it's worked for years, and I plan to keep using it for many, many more. I also suggest getting a camera. Even a Canon Vixia HF R70, which is what I use, will work, and that's just a camcorder. Just having a camera really helps. If you have a good camera, fantastic, but you don't necessarily need one in order to make content. And I have a fantastic green screen that also came with lighting, and while I absolutely love that, it's not necessarily required for anyone. Just making sure that you have a background that looks decent helps a lot. Even something like what I have right now behind me does help, even if it's just a little bit.
What are your goals as a growing content creator?
Money! That's a stupid answer, but it's honestly a bit true. Even though one of my biggest goals is to share my content with the world and to show people that they can do things, it's not necessarily... You can't deny that you're gonna be wanting to get money in the future. But the fact remains that that should not be your primary goal. It's not my primary goal. My primary goal is to help people, to help them see that they can do multiple things. Even people who feel like they have a disability, they should realize that they can do something. I'm not even certain what disabilities I have, but I honestly think that I could very easily have dyslexia, ADHD, and a lot of other mental disabilities, but I don't know for a fact. But the point is that even with these possible disabilities, I don't let them affect me. I let them help me to improve. I fight past the problems that I come across and get better over time. That is one of my primary missions, to help people realize that they can do something. I mean, my next book is about a blind girl saving a baby dragon and traveling across the world. Obviously, I want people who have disabilities to be able to improve themselves, no matter how it is. YouTube is a monster, to be blunt. And working through it is absolutely a tough subject to cover in anything. Whether it's a simple documentary like this, or even hour-long people who have made hour-long videos have struggled to figure out what they want to do with this type of content. And realizing that is important. YouTube is a hard place to work in, but by focusing on what you want out of this whole situation, you can grow. But it's also important that if you notice someone who is struggling to get their feet off the ground, you should be willing to go and help them. And if you see someone who you honestly think is doing great content that you just randomly come across, telling them just a little message that says, "You're doing a good job," will honestly bring a smile to their face. That is one of the most important things as content creators, to have people who do enjoy our content. And yes, it can be a struggle, but it's a struggle that many of us are willing to go through. The biggest problem is that all of us YouTubers know that this is not a steady work, a steady career. Being a YouTuber means to have stress, and eventually it means that we'll have to stop. Be that because we just never succeed enough, or because we just realize that we need to move on to something bigger and better. I mean, honestly, think about it. Many YouTubers from the early days have moved on and become actors or other media because of the fact that they learned from their mistakes here on YouTube and have grown into better people. Honestly, if you look back, the first creators here on the platform, most of them are gone. Honestly, you'll probably only find maybe, I think Ryan Higa and Smosh might be the only ones who are still around from that era. I could be wrong, but it's not many. And understanding that is important to realize. But sometimes you do succeed. And riding that train can be very helpful, but you also need to realize that it's not the end. It's just the beginning for whatever career you choose to go into. But on.